This Dogman sighting comes out of Athens County, Ohio. No date was given in this report. The witness states that him and his girlfriend was driving down a remote country road in early summertime one late evening. That his girlfriend was driving and he was in the passenger seat, and that the sun was starting to set behind them. That they had just came around a curve when two deer jumped out into the road in front of them. He said the deer acted like they weren't even there, and that they seemed to be focused on something else. His girlfriend hit the brakes, bringing the car to a stop. He said to her, "Man, that was close." Now he states that this is when he looked up into the rearview mirror to see if any more deer was coming. He states that within the red lights of the taillights that he saw something take a big step into the road from the brush that was on the side of the road. He says whatever it was, it landed on its right leg. Now, looking at the rearview mirror, he says that he only could see it mid-thigh up to its stomach. Now, in one motion, it took another step forward, while at the same time putting what looked to be a hand down on the trunk to steady itself. Once he saw this, he turned to look at his girlfriend, and she was wide-eyed and her mouth was open, while being as white as a ghost, he says, and that he could notice her eyes starting to tear up. So he looked back, but by this time it was already gone. He says to attempt to get a better look at this thing, he opened his car door and got out. When he looked, he states that he could see it moving down an embankment. Because of the brush, he says he could only see the creature from its armpits up. It was at least 7 foot tall and had very wide shoulders. He states its shoulders were at least 1.5 times his, and that he has wide shoulders. He says from the last bit of daylight, he could see that this creature was dark colored, black or a dark brown, he states, and that this thing had pointed ears on the top of its head like a dog's, saying its ears weren't overly wide or fuzzy, while its head was kind of dome-shaped with flat sides. It acted like they weren't even there, mainly because he seemed to be focused on the deer. At this time he was thinking, what in the world was this thing? He states that it looked like some kind of werewolf or wolfman to him. He also said that it was way too big to be a person, and that through the whole ordeal, he never got a chance to see its face. So what do you think they saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think. This Dogman sighting comes out of Rock County, Wisconsin. The witness said that she and three of her friends were out in a field, just hanging out and having a good time, just playing and messing around, when they started to hear some strange noises. They said that it sounded like it was a couple of 100 yards off in the field, but at this time they didn't think too much about it. Then a little bit later, the noises started to get a little louder and seemed to be getting a little closer as well. Then they could hear what sounded like trees or branches breaking. Again, they tried to ignore the noises, but as it turns out, that wasn't the best thing they could have done, as they were about to find out. They heard a noise again, close this time. It made them all look up. While looking in the direction of the noise, they saw a strange creature. They said it stood 7 to 8 feet tall and that this creature was coming straight at them. The witness states that the creature stood upright, like a human on two legs. that it acted and moved like a human. It just didn't look like a human. It looked to be a dog or wolf with a snout and fur. They were completely surprised by what they were seeing. The witness states that they had no idea of what was going on. With being surprised and scared, they began to run towards their cars, never looking back to see if the creature was after them. Once they reached their cars, they drove off and never looked back. So what do you think they saw that day? Drop me a comment down below. This Dogman sighting comes out of Burnett County, Wisconsin. The witness states that he's a skeptic of the supernatural and that he has always looked for a logical explanation for them. Now he says that he has had a couple of strange occurrences, but that this one really freaked him out. He says he lives in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and like a lot of people in the city, that his family owned a cabin, and that the cabin was located in rural Wisconsin, in a small town called Danbury, on Long Lake at the end of Long Lake Road. The cabin sat on an acre of land covered by thick forest. The witness states that he is 6'4" and fit, and has been a hunter since he was 12 years old. That he knows the environment, wildlife, and the forest very well. And that he comes from a military family and has had extensive firearm training. Now he states that when he was 16 that he was at the cabin with his cousin and his grandparents. He says that him and his cousin was off playing and talking in the woods when he noticed something moving right out in front of them about 50 meters out. He got quiet and started focusing ahead, scanning the area. His cousin was still talking, so he whispered, "Shh," so his cousin shut up. He thought what he had saw might have been a bird or something. Now, just as a joke, he told his cousin they were being watched. And that's when he noticed just how quiet the woods had gotten. With no birds chirping, just quiet. From being a hunter, he knew that when the woods gets this quiet, that it could mean there could be a big predator in the area. So he started looking around even closer. Now this is when he says he saw a large creature. It had reddish brown fur and almost blended in perfectly until he focused in on it. The creature had long front limbs, almost arm-like, with what looked to be formidable claws, and it was standing somewhat slouched over against a tree. He thinks that the creature was trying to be stealthy, even though it was standing slouched over. It was almost, or was, as tall as he was. He says that one of the reasons he even saw the creature was its white teeth, and that it was panting, and its snout was elongated. Now at this point, he only had one thought: they had to go. So he said to his cousin, "We have to go." His cousin was freaked, and he bolted up the trail, leaving him in the dust, he says. Because he wanted to protect him, he kept his eyes on the creature until it moved. The creature was fast when it did move, leaving him to run like hell, he said. His cousin stopped at the shed, and that it was about 50 meters from the cabin. As he was closing in on his cousin, he said, "Go, go, go." And they ran to the cabin, coming into the cabin, slamming the door. His grandmother asked what was wrong. He told her that they had seen a bear, knowing they wouldn't believe him if he told the truth. He says him and his cousin has never told anyone until now about the sighting, and they don't talk about it. So what do you think about this sighting? Drop me a comment down below. This Dogman sighting comes out of Woodford County, Illinois. The witness says he lives in rural Illinois and that he has been experiencing strange activity and noises around his house for a couple of months now. Then one night his dog woke him around 4 a.m. in the morning, and that his dog was really acting up, like she wanted to go out, so he got up to let her out. Now he says that before he let his dog out, that he turned on the back floodlight. Then he peered out through the mini blinds. Now he says he did this because he had a weird feeling. Maybe his dog wasn't acting right, or was it something else giving him this feeling? Now as he looked into the backyard, he noticed something about 75 feet away from him. It was a wolf, dog, man-like thing. It was standing upright on two legs. Just seemed to be looking at his back door. He says that the creature he saw had a proportionally large head, while having pointed ears on top. The witness also says he noticed an amber-colored eyeshine, stating that its head was canine in appearance, kind of like a German shepherd or even a wolf's head, he stated. Now it had broad, strong-looking shoulders, and that he was able to see its deltoid muscles. He also noticed that the creature's torso was sunken in towards its abdomen, just like a dog's would be. He also says that the creature didn't seem to have a neck, and with the large head, that this creature leaned at around 60 degrees or so. It had thick quad muscles in the front of its thighs that angled forward and tapered down to its small knees. He says this creature's lower legs angled back to hocks, just like a dog's, and that it looked like the creature could lean back on them if it wanted to, so it could leap and jump if needed. He got the impression that this creature could run and jump very well if it needed to. Now the witness says after a few moments of looking at his back door that the creature slowly turned and walked back into the cornfield that's behind his house, stating that the corn stood about 8 feet and that the creature's head was right at the top of it, saying that as the creature was walking away, that he could still see the top of its head over the corn. So what do you think this witness saw? Drop me a comment and let me know down below. This Dogman sighting comes out of Oxford County, Maine, from the year 2001. The witness says that she is somewhat of a night owl, that she always stays up late watching TV. When she just happened to look out the window one night and saw what she thought was a man on a roof. I thought that it was a man at first because it looked to be naked until the witness noticed hair and fur on it. Then it turned its head and she saw its face. It wasn't a man's face, but what she saw was frightening at the least. The creature had pointed ears like a dog's, but also had a long snout. She says that the ears reminded her of a German shepherd's ears. The witness was frightened and shaken up. She just could not understand what she was looking at. She says that she just stared at the creature for a few minutes and that she was afraid to move, not wanting this thing to see her. It just sat there on its butt, not moving. She could see its arms and legs, which resembled humans, but with hair and fur all over them. She says after a few minutes she slowly backed off from the window and went to tell her husband. She states that he didn't want to get up to look, saying that he thought she was crazy. When she went back to the window to look for it again, the creature was gone. She says at the time of the sighting she had no idea what she was looking at, that she only ever told her husband and kids what she had seen. This creature has haunted her for many years now, until one day she was telling her grandkids what she had seen. She says one of her grandkids got onto the computer and pulled up some pictures and stories of other sightings. She says that until then she never even knew that other people had seen these creatures. She didn't know they existed for many, many years, she says. It was so scary looking at the pictures and knowing she had seen it. Before it was real, at least to her, this sighting was almost 20 years ago. So what do you think this woman saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know. There are numerous Native American reports of sightings of a werewolf-like creature dating back hundreds of years in this part of the country. But as far as I can tell in the modern age, the beast was first reported in 1936 by Mark Shackelman. Shackelman worked at St. Coletta Convent as a night security guard. Now he was driving his way home after a long night of work as he hit a stretch of road just east of Jefferson County when he noticed movement near a Native American burial mound to the west of the road. As he slowed down his car to get a better look at what was moving, he could see a shadowy figure standing near the burial mound. He realized that the figure looked huge. As Shukelman pulled his car off the side of the road to get a better look at what he was seeing, looking at something he put well over 7 feet tall. He couldn't tell what it was, so he tried to get even closer. That's when he noticed that the creature, or whatever it was, seemed to be digging into the burial mound, searching for something. Now that's when he was hit by a strange rotten smell that just engulfed him. The encounter became too much for Shuffleman as he climbed back into his car and sped away. Now after a few days of searching his thoughts of what he had seen, Shuffleman decided to return to the site to search for any evidence of the creature. But as he returned to the burial site, he noticed that the creature was still there, roaming around the site. So he decided he was going to get a little closer this time. As he moved closer, he could see that it had a body of a human, but with the head of a wolf. Now its hands and feet looked human, but with the digits looking to be kind of twisted and deformed. He said the creature wasn't able to talk, that it only grunted at him. He said that the creature just stood and stared at him while grunting. Shackelman bravely stared down the creature for a couple of minutes, which seemed a lot longer at the time. The creature just ran back off into the woods. That's about all I found of the 1936 sighting. Now that's it for this one. So you guys stay safe. Have a great week. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification button as well so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. And thanks for watching those endless mysteries.